This morning, we're spotlighting new reaction to Susan Smith's upcoming parole eligibility. The convicted killer became infamous after drowning her two young sons and then trying to mislead the public into thinking that they had been kidnapped. Her husband at the time, David Smith, was by her side supporting her until she confessed. Now, David has been quiet for years about the case, but he recently gave us an exclusive interview talking about her upcoming parole hearing and how he's doing today.
I don't think I'm any more of a suspect than anyone in this case right now.
It's very painful to know that anyone would think that either of us had anything to do with this abduction of our children.
David, how do you feel about Susan wanting you to advocate for her prison release?
I think it's absurd. I can't comprehend that she even thinks that I would advocate for her.
When was the last time you talked to her?
It was about a month after she confessed and was arrested. I saw her at a prison in Colombia where she was being held at the time.
Mm-hmm. Has she tried to contact you then, since then, rather?
No, I've had no contact with Susan since that one time. We spoke for about an hour that day, and I haven't talked to her since.
David, do you plan to attend her parole hearing?
I absolutely do. I'm for sure going to be there.
Would you give us a little bit of a preview of what you plan to tell the board?
You know, at this time, I don't even know if I'm going to even write something formally on paper. I may just speak from the heart, but I just want them to know or remind them of what she did, who were the victims in this case. Certainly not her, and to let them know that her only doing 30 years would be an injustice to Michael and Alex. She doesn't deserve to ever be free again.
David, would you tell us a little bit about your beautiful boys, Michael and Alex?
Well, Julie, unfortunately, I still do not have a lot of memories of Michael and Alex. Early on, I sought professional help, and all of them told me the same thing, that eventually the memories would come back. But at the time, it was my own system taking care of me and not letting me have any memories of them. It was protecting me. Well, here it is almost 30 years, and those memories haven't come back yet. I have bits and pieces, like giving them bath time with them and playing in the yard a little bit. And like Michael used to ride on the lawnmower with me, cutting grass, and he'd always go to sleep. So I have some snippets, snapshots of memory, but I don't have very many, unfortunately.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much.
David, how do you feel now about the cruel way in which Susan lied to you then?
After a lot of thinking and soul searching, I wish I had seen what other people were seeing at the time. But I just wanted to get Michael and Alex back. That was my main concern.
Tell us, have you forgiven Susan? And if so, why?
Yes, I've forgiven her. And again, that goes to my faith in God, and that's the way I was raised, that we have to forgive. But it sure doesn't take away the act of what she did. It doesn't make it any less. It doesn't make it any easier. But I have forgiven her for what she did.
Tell us, if Susan were here listening to this interview, what message would you have for her?
I would just tell her that you have no idea of how much damage you have done to so many people. I would tell her that in my capabilities, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you stay behind bars.
This court stands adjourned.
I want to bring in the man who put away Susan Smith, attorney Tommy Pope. Tommy, would you walk us, please, through the legal process? What's going to happen next in this quest for parole?
So what's happened, and you and I have discussed this before, the jury didn't know that life didn't mean life, but now that there's been 30 years, because they did find the aggravating circumstances of killing two underage children, killing two or more at one time. So she's now eligible. There'll be a hearing probably October. David and I are still trying to coordinate with Solicitor Brackett on the dates and, all of that. And then basically it's kind of a mini hearing. They hear aggravation and mitigation. They'll hear, what David's got to say. I want to tell them how the jury believed that she was going to serve the rest of her natural life. I'm with David. We knew it was going to be an uphill battle, particularly with the union jury, but we try to respect their decision. We just wish they'd been armed with all the knowledge, because I remember jurors saying, she would sit and think about Michael and Alex, where her conduct's proven she hadn't done that. And she's been more worried, and I don't think I misspeaking here in front of David, she's always been more worried about Susan than she is anybody else. And that's been the case throughout.
Right, Tommy. And she has had a pretty bad prison record, as far as I'm aware, hasn't she, Tommy, with misconduct with guards, and I believe drug use has also been reported. Is that correct?
She has had, I think, like we discussed before, I've seen much worse. I've seen them killing people in prison, but her behavior tells us that contrary to what that jury was thinking, which was you'll be remorseful, you'll think about Michael and Alex, Susan thinks about how things affect Susan.
Whoever has them, I pray every day that you're taking care of them, and know that we will do anything we will to help you to get them home back to us.
And David, I want to ask you now about what your life is like. I understand you have your wife, Tiffany, with you that you'd like to introduce to us. Would you bring her in, please?
I sure will. This is Tiffany, my wife.
And you have children together, right?
We do. We have a daughter together, and then I have a son by someone else.
Our daughter is 23, so we have the empty nest going on. So we spend a lot of time, just work, and then we come home and he cooks supper. He does a lot of the cooking. He helps me out a lot. I would try and push him to get out of bed and go do things, and he just wanted to sleep a lot. I call those the dark years. But, over the years, I would try to push him to do things to try to get his spirits up and get him out of the house, or, just to do different things. And then, as the years have gone by, things have gotten easier, and, he doesn't have as many dark days anymore. So, life is really good.
And I want to thank David and Tiffany Smith and attorney Tommy Pope. And you can watch even more of that interview. My full uncut conversation with David Smith and his wife will be posted to Court TV's members only channel. So just click to join if you haven't already. And still to come here on Opening Statements, what could tip the scales at Susan Smith's parole hearing? I've got a special guest joining me next to break it all down.
Did she ever believe that she was ever going to get away with it?
A renowned snake breeder is shot and killed at his breeding facility.
He was like the Johnny Depp of pythons. The guy was amazing.
Lindley recruited an old boyfriend to shoot Ben.
Michael got too nervous, so he handed her the gun and she actually killed him.
I did not want him dead.
If the devil was a person, I believe that was her.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. All new Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
So what will tip the scales when Susan Smith goes before the parole board? Her ex-husband, David Smith, says he's going to be there at the hearing. And Tommy Pope, who prosecuted Susan Smith, says that David always put his boys, Michael and Alex, first.
We brought those boys back to life, and then we had to take them back through and take him back through exactly what he lived through. I remember that first video we talked about when Susan's giggling about being on TV and David looked like he'd lost his children. So when he tells you that all he was focused on was finding those kids, that was exactly correct.
It's horrible what was done to those children, those little boys that had their whole life ahead of them. Joining me now this morning, a very special guest. I'm so pleased to welcome in. He's a legal analyst for ABC News, a former prosecutor, Matt Murphy. Matt, good morning to you. What do you think this hearing is going to be like for Susan Smith?
So in California, we call these BPT lifer hearings. And this is essentially a process. It's like the things you see on TV, where they bring the person in and they sit in a chair. She'll have an attorney there, and there'll be a board of parole. So there'll be 2, 3, sometimes 4 representatives of the board of prison terms, and they'll hear the reasons in favor of her release, and then they will consider the circumstances of the offense and hear people that oppose it. And then they'll make their call. And I can tell you, I did these for 17 years in the state of California. There's no way she's getting out. If I had to lay my Vegas odds on this one, it's 1,000 to 1.
Matt, we sure hope you are right. Let's talk a little bit about Susan's bad behavior, if we can, please. I mean, she has had a bad prison record, as you know, a number of infractions committed behind bars. She used drugs. She had sex with prison guards, issues relating to threats of self-harm. She lost many privileges for all of her infractions, lost her phone, lost visitation privileges. She has not shown that she can conform to the rules. Talk to us a little bit, please, about at the eligibility hearing, how the board will consider her record when they go to make that determination if she should get out.
So there are essentially 3 areas that weigh very heavily in circumstances like this. One is the offense itself. How bad were the circumstances of it? And this is about as bad as it gets. This wasn't a woman suffering from postpartum depression. The jury rejected that defense. This is somebody that killed her kids so that she could be with another man. Okay, so it's about as cold-blooded as you get. And also, what a horrible way to die. You know, and we're talking about 2 really young children. The second big consideration is how the community is responding to this. And I mean, we just heard from your 2 previous guests. Oh my gosh, you know, that is going to move them substantially. And then 3, and perhaps most importantly, depending on which member of the board is considering it, you have their behavior in prison. So in California, these are called 115s or in custody write-ups. And she didn't just have sex with 1 prison guard, she had sex with 2. And this is a woman who has continued to display the kind of behavior, the totally selfish, rules don't apply to me kind of behavior that led her to committing this murder in the first place. And I think that you know, she has demonstrated that she is not trustworthy. She's not capable of following the rules, and they will consider that a potential danger in the community if they release her. So again, this board is going to look very harshly on her prison conduct, on the circumstance of the offense, and the community, of course, would be outraged. So This is called an initial. We call those initials in California. In other words, it's her very first hearing. And when you, as a prosecutor, when you attend these and you have an initial, the first thing you look for are those 115s or those write-ups while in custody. And she's got some doozies. So, yeah, this is not going to bode well for her. Remember, they can keep her for her entire life. My guess is she's not getting out the next time either. And South Carolina, look, they do it right. They're very compassionate towards the victims, in my opinion. And I think that she has very long odds of any sort of success here.
Right, right. Matt, something that troubled Prosecutor Tommy Pope, it has for years, we just spoke about it recently, was how during the trial, and the state did pursue the death penalty, as you know, the jury voted life. Tommy said what was troubling was the way the court had to instruct the jury was not to let them know that she could be up for parole. So they thought life meant her whole life. And now looking back, it's 30 years. It's not life. That's very upsetting. Your feelings on that, as a very seasoned prosecutor, I would imagine you'd probably be very troubled as well.
Well, I've made that argument before on death penalty cases. I did 6 of them, and the defense always wants a special instruction to the jury that, ladies and gentlemen, she will never be released. And we're seeing the exact same thing in California now, where life without possibility of parole doesn't actually mean life without possibility of parole anymore. And in effect, from my perspective, having done that before, and from his perspective, it's essentially a lie to the jury. And had these people known that she would be up for parole, that she would have to, that the family would have to go through this process over and over, because she'll be up again. Once this is denied, they can do multi-year denials, but it'll be within probably 5 years, she'll be up again, and the family's going to have to go through it all over again. So it is very frustrating as a prosecutor when you're up there on a horrific case and the jury's receiving information, you know that it's not accurate and you can't say anything. So I understand his frustration with that. But at the end of the day, look, 30 years is also, 3 decades behind bars. I personally don't think it's enough for Susan Smith. I know a lot of people agree with me on that, but the parole board won't either. So they're going to deny this.
Right. Such excellent analysis from you. As always, it's such a treat to have you on Opening Statements, Matt Murphy. And I want to let everyone know you've got a book coming out. It's called The Book of Murder, coming out on September 17th. There it is, a prosecutor's journey through love and death. We can't wait to read it. And congratulations on the release, Matt. Looking forward to talking with you again very soon, I hope. Take good care.